Hi plant friends, today I've got the complete house plant tour for you. We'll be exploring the orchids, cactus and succulents, the episcias and African violets, as well as the aroids. I'll be taking you into my bedroom to see the plants there, onto the balcony, and exploring the plants in the living room. We'll start with this shelf from IKEA. I purchased it many years ago. Such a convenient shelf. I'm able to pack a lot of plants in one spot. This used to be all orchids. Now there's a mixture of everything on the shelf. The melanochrysum, this plant I purchased not too long ago from Calisanti. I believe it was $1 or $2. It's ready to be repotted and put on a moss pole. We've got a no ID Phalaenopsis, really cute little darling. If I can find a picture, I will insert the picture. We've got a watermelon snow. The winter leaves where it's not very sunny are more green, and in the summer when it's a little bit more warm and more sunny conditions, we've got variegated leaves. Now this beauty does not like a lot of sun, but in the summer, when it's warm, it gets that pink hue in the center. Over winter, when we've got more cloudy days, the flowers are almost all green. Just an interesting feature with this plant. Typically, I like variegated leaves on my African violets, but with this one, it was those green flowers that pulled me in. We've got a Calaria. I've got two Calaria potted together. One's more pink in flower and the second is purple. And they're potted in a self-watering setup. Down below I've got a Calumnia. Recently I repotted and propagated, and if you've watched that video, here's a little update. The propagations are doing well. I just chopped and put them back in the media and the cuttings have taken off. We've got an African violet over here, beautiful variegated leaves, and the flowers are really fluffy and ruffly. It's such a gorgeous combination with the ruffled leaves. It's such a beautiful plant. I really enjoy this one. And it's sitting under the grow light, getting about 12 hours of grow light each day and some sun in the morning. It's early morning, so the sun's not as strong. This one was just a 4 cutting little leaves that I received at the African Violet and Gesneriid Society show. This one is Episcia Unforgettable Helen. The cuttings have taken off very nicely. I need to repot these and put it in a self-watering setup. I think it will benefit from that quite a bit, especially over the coming winter. I've got a little cutting of the Episcia Pink Smoke. Beautiful little darling, and that's ready for its self-watering pot. I find that the episcias, they like to stay more on the moist side. Episcia Pink Dream is also a nice beauty. This one is very pretty. With more sun, they get more of a little pink blush on the leaves. Over the winter you can see that there's less pink, so a little bit of more sun stressing over the summer, and it blooms gorgeous pink flowers. Over here is Hoya Fungii, a few cuttings that I received from a planty friend. I love the leaves, nice fuzzy leaves. This one's in a new leaf and it's in the sun, so it's a little bit more yellow, and out of the sun the leaves are a little bit more darker, or they mature to be a little bit more dark, and a few little freckles on the leaves. It's a beautiful one and an easy plant to propagate. It's just in a glass with some sphagnum moss and kept moist. Down below I've got a few orchids. This orchid's one of my favorite orchids at the moment. It's Joy Fairy Tale. beautiful flower on this one, and it's working on a flower bud. So that's exciting. Did suffer from a little bit of spider mite damage over the winter. So this winter I'm going to try to increase my humidity. Pinky Violet Queen, I picked this up last February. It's doing great, potted up in sphagnum moss. It's a Vanda type. So sphagnum moss works for me to keep the roots nice and moist. Over here we've got a Rinco Stylus Gigantea Orange Peach, doing very well. 2 new roots since February and 2 new leaves. I'm hoping for blooms over the fall. This little guy also attacked by spider mites last winter and has recovered nicely. Phalaenopsis Tabasco Tex. The new leaf is coming in very nicely. Now this one also ravaged by spider mite and is just hanging on for dear life. I'm hoping it's going to pull through. It's going to take a while. It's a Gigantea cross, so it does produce big leaves and they do grow a little bit slower. It's Phalaenopsis Yofan Boss. I love the orchids with the big leaves. Now down here I've got Bronze Maiden. Bronze Maiden's doing very well. 2 new leaves since I brought her home. Picked this one up last February and just gorgeous leaves on this one. Potted up in sphagnum moss and kept on the moist side. I do allow it to dry out just a teeny little bit and then I give it some water. This one is a Joy Fairy Tale Joy. I really enjoy this orchid. That's why I've got 2 of them in my collection. And I found that the flowers are slightly different. One's a little bit more vibrant, the other is a little bit more muted. Such an interesting plant. This guy right here suffered from spider mite as well over the winter, but the leaves, actually the flowers are doing very well. You can see a little bit of spider mite damage on the flowers. I'm holding on to the flowers because it's very fragrant. I just enjoy this plant quite a bit. It's a no ID, but just lovely. KS Apple Eagle working on a new leaf. Yes, those spider mites really went to town on my orchids. KS Apple Eagle is such a beautiful blooming orchid. It's one of those warm growers as well, so it grows quite a bit over the summer when we have the warm temperatures, and it's throwing off a little spike. It's a little bit late in the season for the spike, so I'm not sure if that spike is gonna make it. We've got the Bellina Red Apple. Bellina Red Apple, a little bit of damage, but producing a nice new leaf. She did have a spike and I've cut back the spike. I want her to concentrate on leaves while she's in recovery. Over here is Phalaenopsis Dutch Lady, and this one has more of a muddled leaf. Don't want to disturb her too much. A little bit of damage over here, but it's something that we're going to grow out of. A lovely root system. The orchids that are potted up in the holy pot, I like to soak them in a bowl so they get a nice drink of water at least once a week. This Phalaenopsis purchased from Valley View and it hasn't stopped blooming. It's been almost a year. Nice sequential blooming orchid. The flowers are also slightly fragrant and it's just lengthen and lengthen. I love that trait in an orchid. Over here, we've got another orchid. I've lost the tag for this one, but it's a Gigantea cross. Look at this beautiful new big leaf. Such a lovely plant. It is in a sunny spot. I like to close the curtains every once in a while because the sun can get intense, and it scorched a few years ago. What a beautiful plant. And that's it for my little orchid shelf, now turned orchid and African violet shelf. Now on to the next area of the bedroom. These shelves are facing the south-facing window. And we'll first start with the Phalaenopsis gigantea, which is working on a flower spike. I'm quite excited about this flower spike. You might remember this plant from a few years ago that I bought at the Orchid show, and she was beaten up, very bleached out from the sun. I've kept her in a very sunny spot. She's getting about 4 to 5 hours of direct sun each day, so she's still a little bit bleached out. I figure that's how she came. That's probably the conditions that she likes. So I've kept her in the same conditions. She's working on a spike this year. In past years, I've received multiple spikes, 2 spikes at the same time. I'm very proud of this orchid. Now, we've got the Hoya obovata variegata, which is my favorite Hoya. This Hoya is robust, no fuss, just an easy plant to take care of. I'm loving the older leaves. I also enjoy the leaves from this year that are a little bit more darker, and you can really see the splashing on the leaves. This Hoya does not skip a beat with blooming. It has multiple peduncles, bloomed a lot for me over the years, and it currently has 3 peduncles, so it's working on some new blooms. Such a vigorous growing Hoya, easy, and it just blooms on its own. Now back here we've got the the cactus. It's a Lactea white ghost. This one's growing in very nicely. South-facing window again, getting a lot of sunlight, and this plant is just nice and happy. It's potted up in a small terracotta pot, which I think I need to repot this soon into a larger pot to encourage a little bit more growth. I like the height and branching on this plant, but I think it could be a little bit better with a larger pot and more nutrients for the roots. Now up top, before we miss this, is the monkey tail cactus. A beautiful plant that I picked up at Calasantes for a reasonable price. It was marked for $6, but when I cashed out, they were discounted to only $2. I can't wait for this one to bloom. Low maintenance as well. Now over in this little area, we do have another gigantea. I love the giganteas. As I've mentioned before, I really like these orchids with the humongous leaves. No bloom spikes on this one right now. She's just working on new leaves, and we'll let her rest. I've had this one for about 6 years, so not humongous leaves as I'd hope, but she's still pretty juvenile, although I've had her for a long time. Hoya hushkaliana with the inner variegations, enjoying a lot of sun in the window. I just leave it there to enjoy and work on its own little leaves and possibly peduncles in the future. Back here we've got another orchid. This is the Spring Canary Joy. Lovely yellow flowers, very vibrant. And she's getting a little bit of shade from the windowsill. Sequential blooming spike that blooms whenever it feels like to. One of the things that I like to do is just leave my plants alone. Put them on the shelf, water them when they need to be watered, and when they're doing something spectacular, I pull them out and take a pretty picture for Instagram, or I'll do a shorts or a reel. These are my Sogo Vivians that are living on the shelf. Hopefully they'll bloom for me over the winter. If not, they can just sit here, work on their little leaves, and for spikes in the future. We've got the Haworthia. This Haworthia bowl is tucked in here. They're just sitting there enjoying themselves. I water them probably about once a week or every 2 weeks. Now, just beside the Haworthias, we've got this Hoya. Hoya ilegerum? Hoya ilegerum. Working on new leaves and vining. No peduncles this year. And I kept this plant inside this summer. I'm thinking that's why it did not bloom. But I do enjoy the leaves. Another easy Hoya, no fuss. I just love that about the Hoyas, that don't give any problems. Nice thick leaves, and with having nice thick leaves, I've not had many pests on that plant. I've not had a mealybug in a very long time, so I'm very grateful about that. Hoya memoria. Oh, this Hoya was just a 2-node cutting that I purchased many years ago, and it's flourished. Look at this baby. All these tendrils and vines, beautiful leaves, loaded with peduncles. Hoya viola has been in this pot for many years, probably about 5 to 6 years in the same pot, and just absolutely thriving. A no fuss Hoya. She's never bloomed, and I don't mind that she's never bloomed because I really enjoy the leaves and I enjoy that it's low maintenance. Now these Hoyas are sitting in a little tray which I flood with water, and they just soak it all up. I find it such a convenient way to water the plants. Here we've got a Hoya australis Lisa. Actually just a Hoya australis. Hoya australis was just $2, so I couldn't resist picking up this 3 little cuttings, and it's growing nicely, working on a nice little tendril. I've totally forgotten about this orchid. Wow, it's a little bit dehydrated from not getting enough water. Oh, there's a little Hoya bloom on here. I'll need to pull this out and give it a nice good soak. I love this orchid too. It has the most beautiful blooms. Oh, the poor little darling. It looks like she's been suffering from a little bit of spider mite damage as well. Oh, I'm gonna have to spray her down and give her a little bit more humidity. Poor little thing. It's a no ID. And right at the bottom, I've got the Farfugium Firefly. This one's a thirsty one. I've got to water it quite often. And the Maxillaria tenuifolia variabilis. Wow, this one is a vigorous growing orchid. It's so beautiful. Look at all those little pseudo bulbs underneath. All summer it's been just growing on foliage, so I can't wait for this one to bloom. I'm thinking it's going to be spectacular since it's just covered with pseudo bulbs. Now we'll finish off the shelf with a few more plants. We've got the amazing Thailand. This one was an unrooted cutting, so it's going to take a couple of years for it to bloom. The pseudobulbs are maturing quite nicely. I'm thinking maybe next year because it is blooming size, but I'm thinking she needs a little bit more energy. Couple more pseudobulbs, and I'm thinking I'm going to have some gorgeous blooms. Now in this tub is my water loving plants. I like to give them lots of water to keep them nice and happy. The Cycopsis, one of those orchids that you don't want to dry out at all. It has a lovely spike and currently working on a bloom. This is the triple lip Cycopsis. So it's that nice ruffly Cycopsis bloom, like one of those fancy butterflies. Now back there is a Zygopetalum cross. I don't want to disturb this too much. It's the La Jolla Let's see if we can get the tag. Oh, it's really tucked in that pot. La Jolla Delight. That's the name for this beauty. It's never bloomed for me, but pushed out a lot of pseudobulbs, so I'm thinking she is happy. All I've got to do is just maintain the moisture and hope for blooms. When it blooms, I'll pull it out, take a picture, and put it on Instagram and make a reel. The Maxillaria tenuifolia, I find that they do like it a little bit moist, and we did repot these earlier in the year, putting them in some sphagnum moss so I can test, put my finger in and keep track of the moisture level with this plant. Some new growth coming in, no blooms yet. I'm hoping for blooms next spring. We've got the variegated, just gorgeous variegation, and the one without variegation. Now let's move on to this shelf over here, which is two carts, mainly cactus and succulents in this area. This cart was sitting outside, but it is getting cooler, so I've moved them back in. Still have a few more cactus and succulents outside, and we'll take a look at those in just a moment. Now, this one back here, beautiful purple on the back sides of the leaves. It's the Euphorbia Malothii. Malothii also pushes out a lot of pups, very rewarding with the growth that it will give. Lots of pups at the bottom. And I think this one branches as well. I can see a few little nubs on the side, so she might branch, and it blooms little flowers. A gorgeous plant, low maintenance. I just keep it in a bright spot, and I water it fairly often, about once a week. I let it dry out, approach dryness, then I water. Now this one back here is Caralluma speciosa. It's one of those succulents that bloom those stinky flowers. It's lengthened quite a bit over the summer. I'm thinking I should take this little portion off propagate and stick it in the pot to make it look nice and clumpy. Now take a look at this beauty. It's the Shubii Tanzania Red. I love this plant, and recently it started to push out a little pup. I'm so excited about it. It handles full sun. When it gets a lot of sun, it turns red. And now that we're approaching fall, it pushes out the cutest little flower. All this is new growth from this summer. Such a vigorous growing plant when it's happy. This beauty is the Buddha's Belly. Buddha's Belly goes dormant over the winter, and in the spring pushes out new leaves. So don't be surprised when it drops all the leaves in the fall. So she's got 4 leaves, 2 little baby leaves coming out. Those are really pretty. And this one blooms as well. I'm hoping I'll be graced with some blooms. Very low maintenance. Once it gets mature, the caudex down below fattens up into a big, nice belly, similar to the nice belly of the Buddha. We've got the rainbow cactus. Rainbow cactus did not bloom this year, or has not bloomed yet. I do see a few little nodes right there that looks like they could be promising for some blooms this fall, but we'll see. Euphorbia aldel curry is one of those plants that has not done anything since I've added it to my collection, and I think it's going on 3 years now and nothing at all. But low maintenance, I don't have to fuss about it, and I always feel the stem. If it's nice and firm, I don't have to water it. If there's a little bit of softness or a little bit of give to the trunk, then I will give it a little bit of water. Right now it's nice and taut, so just leave it alone and let it enjoy the sun. Euphorbia personii, one of my favorites. I enjoy this one so much that I've got 2 of them. This is the first one I added to my collection, and it was just a darling little plant. This one also tends to drop the leaves over the winter. I'm hoping it's going to hold on to the leaves. All depends on how chilly this windowsill gets. This one over here is branching, which is exciting. Exciting to see that the personii is giving me a little branch. I did move it out early in the spring and it did suffer a little bit of sun scorching, but the new leaves have pulled through quite nicely. Such a lovely plant. I love giving it a lot of sun because along the yellow variegation you get those nice pink tips, which is such a beautiful complement. Oh, I love the combination. We also have a crested trigona in here. This one also lost all of its leaves last winter and fleshed out very beautifully this spring. I really love that. You're probably wondering what this was. It's a spent bloom from my Ceropegia. It's also known as the black dragon. Now let's take a closer look. Look at these flowers. Aren't they spectacular? Such an interesting bloom on this plant. I wasn't expecting this. I purchased this plant for the dark foliage because I thought it was so interesting. There's a little gem in here, tucked in the back, getting a lot of sun. It's the Euphorbia pineapple. This little pineapple is just low maintenance, and these little pups can be easily propagated. Now let's take a look at the second shelf. So we'll start with the Dicarii nova. 2 plants potted up in the pot, and it looks like they are working on some little pups at the bottom, which is absolutely exciting to see. This plant loves a lot of sun. You can see there's a little bit of a bloom on this. If they don't get a lot of sun, they're typically green, but when they get a lot of sun, they're this beautiful dark black color. We've got a boar's tail tucked in here, just a tiny little cutting, enjoying a lot of sun. We also have this beautiful Sansevieria. This is the one that tends to walk outside of the pot, out of the pot. I believe this is the Sansevieria pinguicola. A low maintenance plant. We also have a variegated Gasteria that's throwing off a lot of little pups. Once they get a little bit more mature, I'm going to propagate a couple of these pups. And the variegation is stunning on this plant. I love it. And this is variegated Monodenium. Interesting little beauty. This is a propagation from the mother plant. This was like a vine growing off the plant that got too heavy and broke off. Beautiful variegation. Looks like it's reverting a little bit. If it's reverted too much, I might have to chop this back just to maintain that variegation. Over on this side, we've got an agave. I'll move that out of the way so we can take a closer look at the haimanthus. And these are a South African bulb that will bloom. I've got two of these little gems. I can't wait for them to bloom. I find a flower to be interesting. That's the name on this one if you could make it out. Aimanthus albifloss. This little agave, it's reverted. Initially it came with a yellow albo margin. Maybe I wasn't giving it enough sun for it to produce those variegated edges. Right now it more or less looks like agave Victoria Reginae. And it's giving little pops. I noticed that earlier in the summer. Maybe these little pops will generate that yellow albo variegation. Here's another agave in my collection. This one was just two little pups that I purchased, and over the years it's flourished quite a bit into this beautiful clump. There's about 13 heads on this one right now. Don't overwater this. If you overwater, they tend to split the leaves, so you've got to be very sparing with the water if you want to keep the leaves looking nice and perfect. Now on the third shelf, we've got a few more beauties. We've got some leucophoras and some Temper cactus, some of my favorites. This little pot has a combination, just two over here, two little darlings right here, and the big mother plant that's throwing off that cute little pink fruit. This one bloomed over the summer, beautiful white flowers. Plant friends, I also find the Temper cactus to be fairly low maintenance. Look at these little pups that's being thrown off the mother plant. This one did come with two bulbs on it, and oh, I just poked myself. Ooh. And we've got three new little bulbs coming in. I like squeezing this way. I know if it needs to be watered or not. And if you're wondering about the pot, this is one of the pots that I picked up at the Cactus and Succulent show from A Pinch of Earth, A Pinch of Fire. Such a cute pot. Beautiful combination, isn't it? One more of my Temper cactus. Such a gorgeous little baby. I am so happy to see all these little pups. These two pups, they were grown over the summer. I've got one more back here. This one's the Temper cactus Diablo. So it's supposed to get really dark purple when it gets a lot of sun stressing. It's a fresh import, so this summer I didn't want to stress it out too much. I wanted to concentrate on roots. So I've keep it in a sunny spot, but not scorching sun for 12 hours of the day. Back here, I've got a cluster of the leucophora, and it's also potted up in one of those pots from A Pinch of Earth, A Pinch of Fire. What a beautiful cluster. Over here, we've got a Senecio. This one puts out a lot of little buds and corms in the pot. So pot it on its own. Don't put it in your arrangement because it could take over. It's such a beautiful plant. It does bloom. Beautiful red flower. Now I also have this Ceropegia variety. It's a Stapeliiformis. I only paid $8 for this at the Cactus and Succulent show. I'm really looking forward to the show coming up on September 21st. I'll need to trellis this up, probably in a hoop trellis. I've got another Ceropegia that's in a hoop trellis and it's growing fantastic. So I want to do that for this as well, but I want to be gentle when I'm trellising up. I don't want to bend the stem at all. We've got a Wisteria in here. Wisteria that I picked up for only $15 at Kim's Nature. I love this. The variegation is so pretty. The yellow variegation really speaks to me. We also have some Haworthias. It's two Haworthias, the same plant. I initially purchased this one first because I fell in love with it, and the following week I went back to Jade Gardens and I saw the plant again, fell in love and purchased it, while my sister told me that you already have that, and I was like, no, I don't. Lo and behold, I came home and this cluster is the same plant. Check out this Euphorbia obesa. Last year it did nothing. This year I gave it more sun and more water and it's flourished. This little tip right here is all new growth, pretty much all the tips, and this little pup, that's a new growth for this summer. So I'm quite excited about that. And down on the bottom shelf, I've got a Sansevieria. This one's a Sansevieria. I'll need to put the name on the screen. It's a beautiful Sansevieria. Just a lovely variegation. This new growth happened this summer and it's grown significantly compared to previous years. And I had it in a more sunny location this summer. So next year I will continue with more sun. We'll see how this little spike grows over the winter. For the Monodenium, this is the mother plant. And this is where that top growth broke off. You can see it's just a little connection. There was not much for the plant to sustain that large heavy growth, so it was bound to break off. And back here I've got a Limifolia. Limifolia is amazing. Love the variegation. Although I find that if you get a lot of water on the leaves, it tends to turn to that rusty copper. So bottom watering is best for this one, although I use a turkey baster and I try to get right in here to give it water. Our final shelf for these two carts. The Astrophytums, these did very good over the summer, plumped up quite a bit. Now the largest Astrophytum that was sitting in this spot, it died from overwatering. I'm surprised that that one was affected by so much water. You know what? It was a bigger plant, so maybe it already had a lot of water stored in it. That's why the roots rot. So I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna water these very sparingly. I'm gonna wait until they shrivel just a little bit before I give them some water. Right now they're nice and firm, so I could hold off on watering probably for the next month or so. My lithops, this is the best I've done with the lithops. It's been about 2 years and I'm excited about these being still alive. They look terrible, some spent leaves at the bottom that could be cleaned up. Maybe they can be cleaned up and rearranged. But so exciting that I've been able to keep these alive for a couple of years. No Calyssums this summer was very rewarding. This beauty was in bloom all the time, which is so rewarding. And look at the color on this. I love the color and the stripes. So beautiful. And this with the peachy variegation. A lovely arrangement. I'm obsessed with the Astrophytums and the Gymnocalyssums right now. A few hanging baskets at this window. We've got the fern leaf orchid, which is not doing very well. I'm thinking it does not like this bright windowsill. Maybe it will do better over the winter when we've got less sunlight. Oh, the poor thing. The sugar vine, however, is loving this south-facing window. beautiful color, lots of new growth. And this sugar vine is considered a succulent. Looking lovely in the hanging basket. Another succulent that I've got is the silver dollar vine. The Hoya compacta loves this south-facing window. Oh, look at these flowers and peduncles. This compacta has rewarded me with a significant amount of flowers and peduncles. Look at this vine, nicely lengthening, and there's a peduncle right at the end with flowers. Every time it vines out, it produces a little peduncles for me. Such a gorgeous little beauty. And right now it has so many flowers on it. It's a thirsty plant. I tend to water this every 2 days. And all the way tucked in the corners, the ant plant. This one is very interesting. I didn't know ant plant blooms little flowers, but it does have some tiny little white blooms on it. Another low maintenance beauty. I recently repotted the Paradoxa, which now lives in a humongous terracotta pot and on top of the IKEA cabinet. She is a lengthy vining beauty. Look at these vines. They're amazing. They're heavy. They're healthy. Oh, back to the cart. I almost forgot about this euphorbia. Nice grow tip on this plant and the markings on the stems. Now, I did promise myself I was going to chop this back and keep it under control, but it's gotten away from me. Time for a little chop and propagate. Plant friends, now let's tackle the IKEA cabinet. Quite a few beauties in here. This cabinet brings me a lot of joy. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Plant friends, on this bottom shelf, we've got quite a mixture of plants. We've got some hibiscus back here. Now this one is my Begonia ferox, which has not fared very well. However, the stems are nice and firm, some tiny little leaves. So I'm hoping it's just the heat of summer that gave this plant a setback and it will flourish in the winter. Fingers crossed on that one. Now back here we've got the Dischidia rattleskulls, which is doing great. New growth for me over the summer. We've got a vine back here that's trellising. I love that. There's also a Hoya in here. The Hoya parasitica splash is tucked in the back. A few cuttings being propagated. And right here, this variegated beauty, the variegated burley marks. Got this as a little cutting in a glass vase. And I love this setup. Very low maintenance. I don't have to worry about it drying out too quickly. We've got a half moon leaf, and then we've got these 4 yellow leaves. You know what? These yellow leaves have been on the plant for a couple of months now and doing great. So I'm hoping the yellow leaves is not a deal breaker for this plant because they're doing quite well and they're so beautiful. We also have another Dischidia down here. Look at this beauty. Picked it up from Heman's and potted up in 3 separate pots. The third one I've given away to a planty friend, and it's just been very rewarding with this plant. Dischidia platyphila. Just gorgeous. Now over on this side we've got the Elizabeth and Buckleberry, one of those bulbophyllums. Yeah, she did give me a new growth, at least one new pseudobulbs last winter, and this summer I potted her in this shallow bowl so she could scramble across the top a little bit more. I've also put it beside the leafless orchids. These require watering every day, and bulbophyllums like a little bit of moisture, so it's a nice humid spot. And back here we've got a Hoya. Now this Hoya, I've chopped it back significantly because I wanted to branch out a little bit more. It's the Camingiana. Look at those leaves, nice full leaves, and I can already see some new growth coming through back here on that vine. There's a little new growth coming. Now take a look at these leafless orchids. They're just gorgeous. I water them in the morning, allowing them to dry out by night, and they've bloomed for me. This one has a nice little leaf. Just gorgeous little darlings. Right here we've got a cluster of 2. Now this shelf right here is just a nice, happy shelf of goodness. Every time I open this IKEA cabinet and I come in and take a look, I'm very pleased with the setup. This Gymnocalycum is a gift from a planty friend. Look at this beauty. A nice big gymno with some pups. I love it. We've got a Euphorbia back here, working on its leaves and roots. It hasn't produced its leaves yet, so I am waiting for cooler temperature. It's more of a cool grower, but I did check the roots not too long ago, and there's a nice root being formed, nice and firm, so I know that it's still alive. It's just resting. Here's one more of the gymnos. Look at this. It's so pretty. We've got Euphorbia francusii. And look at the little bloom on this one. Nice dark foliage. Now this little darling, a recent purchase. I picked this one up from Crystal Star. I've attended the Toronto Flower Market, and this little gem was available, so I had to grab her. These don't last long whenever I see them online. They're normally sold out. It's doing amazing. I've only had it for a week, and when I received it was freshly watered, so I've not done anything to this plant, and I'm going to be very sparing with water. Now they do go dormant over the winter, so when it starts to drop leaves, I'm prepared for that. I'm not going to be all hesitant and thinking, oh my gosh, I've killed the plant. I know that it's going into dormancy, and I'll just leave it alone. Try to put it with the rest of the plants that go dormant and not water until spring. We've got another gymno right here that's throwing off some pups, a little echeveria with more pups, and back here we've got a Euphorbia pseudoglobosa. Really nice find on that one. a eaves needle, and this crested little beauty. Plant friends, I'm obsessed with the crested plants. One more of those gymnos. So cute. And we've got another Leucophora. We've got a Sansevieria Blue Q. Yes, so one more Gymnocalycum. I should put all the gymnos together. That'd be a really nice display. I don't think I'll pot them up together in one pot, but I'd like to put them on the shelf where I can enjoy them all in one spot. We've got some little lithops right here. An Astrophytum. This Astrophytum, I saw a listing online for this little beauty and I ordered it. They're notorious for not rooting and having root rot, but it did push out a new leaf for me. Which leaf was it? One of these bottom leaves. I believe it's this one. That's a new leaf. So I know that it's rooted quite nicely. I'm so happy about that. We've got a jelly bean back here. The Pachyphytum little gem and or little jewel. We also have some amazing Thailand rainbow. These are little seedlings that growing out to maturity. I can't wait. The amazing Thailand is one of my favorites. I love the vibrant blooms. We've got some agave titanotas in here. Can't wait for these to grow out a little bit more, and I should pot them up in a nice decorative pot. I'm waiting until I find a pot that really speaks to me. We've got an Opuntia in here, one of those weird lumpy bumpy Opuntias. Now hiding back here is my Obregonia denegrii. Such a beautiful plant. I can't wait for that to grow out a little bit more and pot it up into a decorative pot. We've got a crested Euphorbia millii. Oh, I'm so excited about this. It's growing in very nicely. It was a fresh import and I'm loving that it's flourished and produced quite a bit of leaves. All I'm waiting for this to do now is bloom. I might need to put it in full sun for a couple of hours each day to get some sun, to get some flowers on that. We've got another Titanota right here. Lovely. Look at the teeth on that. So gorgeous. Another Astrophytum type. Since the first one did very well, I ordered a second. This is where they bloom. That's their little bloom spike right there. So maybe this one's a spent bloom. I'm not sure. It came with it. This one's all new growth since the plant arrived. So it's also rooted, which is very exciting. And I water this very sparingly. I wait until these leaves tend to droop down a little bit before I water. Some more agave titanotas in here. And we've got some Stapelia aureolea types. I'll put the name on the screen if I can find the name for that, as well as the flower if I have it. We've got a Cactus right here. Just beautiful. Looks like brains, doesn't it? Another aureolea type right here. And a variegated bear paw. Variegated bear paw, low maintenance. I leave it alone. I water every 2 to 3 weeks. It does not require a lot of watering. This beauty right here I picked up. I just enjoyed the way it looked. I don't even know the name. Now behind there's a pseudolithos back here. A low maintenance little guy. It doesn't require a lot of watering. I tend to water this every 3 weeks or so, and I just give it a bare little splash. I've had one in the past which I overwatered, so this time I'm being extra careful. Also back here is the Hoodia, which this little beauty branched for me So exciting. Every little thing that these plants do, it makes me excited. It makes me know that I'm doing the right thing or giving them the right conditions to allow them to flourish. We also have this Ericarpus. Ericarpus, another low maintenance plant. I sprinkle a little bit of water on this every 3 to 4 weeks. And I've got it in the most sunniest spot in this IKEA cabinet. We've got the Euphorbia melliformis. Melliformis has grown quite a bit. It's tripled in size since I purchased this. It was just a tiny little plant. Plant friends, check out the color on this Gymnocalycum. It's such a beautiful plant. Now it is a little bit shriveled, definitely could benefit from more watering. It's in a sunny spot, so it dries out very quickly. And over here, you might think this plant is dead, but it's just dormant. It goes dormant during the summer. Now this little guy, it's a Masonia. So she'll go dormant in the summer when it's hot, and in the winter, she will flourish when we have cool conditions. Plant friends, the last plant on this shelf is the Pachypodium bravocol. Wow, just a tiny little cutting. I saw a huge plant at the Toronto Cactus and Succulent show, so I came home and searched online and found just a tiny little cutting to get me going. I can't wait for this one to grow out very nicely, and I'm glad that it's flourishing. Look at those leaves. On this shelf, we'll start with the variegated Hoya compacta. Low maintenance, slow growing. One of the themes for me with plants is low maintenance. If it's a fussy plant, it's not something that's going to survive in my conditions. I like to just fill the tray with water and let the plants soak up water as needed. Any excess water, I will just use a turkey baster to extract it. The next plant here is the variegated Slumbigera. Is this a Christmas cactus or a Thanksgiving cactus? I'm not sure, but the variegation is stunning on this plant, so I had to add this to my collection. We also have this Neo Vanda type that I picked up at Colasantes, and it's doing well. Some new growth, new roots. Just leave it right here, let it do its thing until it blooms. I also have the variegated vanilla vine, doing very good. I've been wrapping this vine around this small trellis just over and over again. I really enjoy that look, and it seems like the plant's enjoying it as well. Now back here are 2 orchids. We've got the Sidera japonica, which is in a mounted potted setup, which works well for this plant. Working on new leaves. A low maintenance plant. This one has not been affected by the spider mites, so it's a tough plant. Now back here, this one has been affected by the spider mites. It's the Phalaenopsis cornucervi, and this one is the one with the red flower. Bit of spider mite damage right in the crown on that leaf, but the new leaf is growing in very nicely. One of those plants that I'll need to keep moist or humid over the winter. Now back here we've got a Bulbophyllum crayanum, And this one's growing nicely. Initially it was only two bulbs, and it's put out 2 additional buds. So a very promising sign. We've got the Lipus grassa also doing well since I repotted her. She's giving some new pseudobulbs, which is fantastic, and this one tends to bloom in the winter, so I'm looking forward to blooms this winter. 2 humongous orchids. These are Oncidiums. We've got the Oncidium Everglades and Nancy Lee. It's working on this new pseudobulb. Very good, some nice roots. I find that this one I've got to keep it moist. Although it has those big pseudobulbs, I can't neglect these or not water them enough. You can see a little bit of wrinkling on the leaves. That's always a sign that they need a little bit more water or more humidity. This one is the Sherry Baby Red Fantasy. I like to see that new roots coming through, a good sign. And the pseudobulbs could be a little bit more plump, so I'll need to make sure I water this one a little bit more. On the top shelf, which tends to be a little bit more warmer, we've got a lot of Tolumnias. Tolumnias are one of my favorites, and I went to Calasantes and they were only $10, so I had to grab a few of them. We've got 7 of them in the collection. Now back here are some orchids. We've got some dendrobiums. We've got Dendrobium Lindleyi, and I'm looking forward to these blooming. There's 2 Lindleyi's back here. There is a aggregatum as well. Looking forward to those yellow blooms, and the Jenkinsii is also in this area. Putting on a lot of growth over the summer. I give them a lot of nutrients. I feed them with every watering, and I try to keep the sphagnum moss nice and moist. And one little gem is the Promania xanthina. This one's fairly dry, so I could water this one just a little bit more. And the Tolumnias, they don't require much. All I've got to do is sprinkle a little bit of water on the gravel. The ones that are in sphagnum moss, I wet the sphagnum moss. We do have a orchid back here. It's the Schilleriana, the only Schilleriana that's done well for me, and it's a Schilleriana with a long leaf. Potted up in sphagnum moss. I find that Schillerianas are quite thirsty. They like to stay on the moist side. I also have the Hoya imbricata, which was going downhill for a while there, but it's plumped back up, giving some new leaves and vining. This one could use a totem pole, but I've chopped it up and put it in the pot. So I'm gonna wait for it to lengthen a little bit more before adding a totem pole or a moss pole for this beauty. On the shelf, I've got a Ceropegia. This one's a variety that I picked up at Kim's Nature recently, and this is that hoop trellis that I was talking about. My other Ceropegia, I'm gonna try to do this same setup. This plant seems to enjoy it quite a bit. Now this Astrophytum over here, you might have seen my reel or my short where I recently potted it up. A beautiful gift from a planty friend. Potted it up in that pot from A Pinch of Earth, A Pinch of Fire. Both these pots are from the same vendor, and this Astrophytum is just stunning. Oh, I absolutely love this plant. What a gorgeous gift. Now this Eulitnia castanea, potted up nicely, topped with akadama, so I know when to water. Look at the unicorn shaped horns on this, and I love that there's 2 horns. It's sort of branching, and with the pot, what a beautiful combination. The two last plants in my bedroom are philodendrons. We've got the silver stripe and we've got the Rio. They do look pretty similar. And that's why I like these too. It's the variegation that speaks to me. They're trailing. It's just a wonderful plant that's low maintenance. They can handle a little bit of drought, or I can put them in a self-watering setup if they are too high maintenance, but they're very forgiving. Plant friends, still a few plants are on the balcony enjoying the cool night temperatures as fall draws near. This crested beauty is amazing. It's potted up in a pot with no drainage hole, which this plant seems to love. It is a thirsty plant. It's out here on the balcony in full sun, and I tend to water this every 3 days. I also have the Temper cactus. This Temper cactus, just little balls that I've dropped off the mother plant, I've tucked in this pot, and over the years they're flourishing. They really enjoy full sun. We've got the steadily. I've got 4 varieties in this pot. I'll put the names on the screen. Look at this beauty. They're nice and firm, so they don't require any water. This one looks like it's got 2 buds that are about to bloom. It bloomed for me earlier in the spring when I picked it up off Marketplace. Now this one right here was one that I purchased from Valley View. It's just a regular variety of this steadily. My epidendron orchids has also been on the balcony all summer. I didn't think this one was going to handle full sun, but it certainly did. And it didn't skip a beat with its bloom. The spike has continued blooming all summer. It's a sequential spike, so it's been lengthening and providing a beautiful spray of flowers that just dances with the breeze. These 3 arrangements bring me a lot of joy. I like sitting on this chair and just admiring these beauties. This agave especially, beautifully sun-stressed, throwing off a little pop on the flower spike. And look at these gorgeous flowers. Such a beautiful plant. Now tucked in this pot, we've got some astrophytum, more Temper cactus. This is a different variety, and plant friend was just frightened by, oh my goodness. He scared me for a little bit. It's the praying mantis. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that guy. Oh. We'll leave them there. I think they're pet friend. Well, they're friendly, like a beneficial insect that will eat pests. So work your magic on my plants before bringing them in for the winter. Back up to the plants, we've got the cotyledon, and cotyledon's looking nice and plump. I really like that. We've got this Haworthia Gasteria aloe, Haworthia aloe type, growing in very nicely. Lots of pups, more astrophytum. This beauty right here. Oh, there's so much goodies in this pot. That's what really makes me happy. Initially, I thought about cutting back Echeveria Lola and resetting her in the pot, but over the summer, I really like what she's done with growing. Maybe I'll consider chopping her back in the winter and resetting her into the pot. These are also really gorgeous, lovely color. I love the way they're cascading over the side of the pot. Echeveria Lovely Rose is also a beautiful darling. Look at this wonderful rosette. And this one back here with the pink tips. They're beautiful. We've got some agaves, some awarthias, this crested beauty, which I planted the crest really deep, so all you can admire is this lovely cluster up top. The Horda, beautiful color on this beauty. The Euphorbia pseudoglobosa that's tucked in here against the agave. We've got two agaves. Look at the Victoria Reginae, she's really beautiful. We've got the Euphorbia obesa, the Astrophytum, which has bloomed a number of times. This crested plant in here, a really lovely display, so architectural and just a crested nature. More Horda, this one's a different variety. The obesas, there are two obesas in this pot. This one was just a little pop when I received it, and this little gem right here, which I purchased on its own. Wow. I love this setup. This pot has also been with me for a very long time. Euphorbia trigona did not like the sun. It scorched quite a bit. I'm thinking I'm gonna cut this back and really tidy this pot up. Over the years, it's grown out of control. Look at this mammillaria. Isn't she gorgeous? We've got a domino cactus, which is stretched and just grown odd over the years. It's bloomed a number of times. I do have a dead plant in here. I've had this for a very long time. The plant looks like it's dead, but it's most certainly alive, and it throws off those little tiny blooms at the tip of the stems. So gorgeous. We've got Old Men of the Andes. We've got this, I've forgotten the name of it. I'll put it on the screen. The silver torch is beautiful, the golden torch. Over here, there's some Euphorbia decarii that's squeezed into the pot. They send little runners, so I'm hoping that it will take over this side of the pot and possibly cascade in the future. Here's a booby cactus. Booby cactus has been with me for a very long time. She's gotten very big. This summer, I put her closer to the back where she's getting a little bit more shade, and not as plump as previous years. Down below you can see how nice and plump these are over here. So every year it's something different. Initially when I first got it, I scorched it quite a bit by putting it in full sun. The string of buttons hanging basket, I've been meaning to chop her back and propagate some of these leaves. Our final area for today's plant tour is the living room. This room gets a lot of light. We've got south facing as well as west facing. So these plants do get nice bright conditions, and this room can get quite warm when it's sunny. Now this little table has a combination of aroids. There's the Thai constellation, which is doing great. It's suffered from a bit of spider mites and little browning at the yellow portion of the variegation, which is expected. Now this little crystallinum turtle, the new leaf, I ripped it by accident. Oh, it's in like a self-watering setup where the roots can reach for the water. And look at this beauty, just gorgeous. Low maintenance, I find. Now back here, I've got my variegated fried egg. And plant friends, variegated fried eggs are very rewarding. Since this plant's been in my collection, it's put out 3 new leaves. Wow, I'm surprised at how fast it's grown. Maybe because I'm used to orchids that only put out 1 or 2 leaves a year. This one's put out new leaves in a month. Just gorgeous. Now the Ring of Fire potted up in a little jar, a glass jar, and it's thriving. I'm loving the variegation on this, a really good variegation. And thank you to the planty friend that gave me this plant as a gift. Now this little beauty right here, oh, I've forgotten the name. I'll need to put it on screen. This one I also need to repot, more of a chunky mixture so the roots can really breathe. And I think I'd like a self-watering setup. I believe these like to stay on the moist side, so I don't want them to dry out for too long. Let me take you on over to the coffee table where I've got my African violets and a few Episkea. The African violets are doing great. They do like this bright condition. I find in the summer they don't bloom as much. In the fall when there's cool temperatures, that's when I get the blooms. There's watermelon snow. I've got a couple of these in my collection. This Sphinx anemone, so interesting with the growth pattern and the leaves. Hasn't bloomed yet, so I'm hoping for blooms this winter. This beauty, look at the growth structure on that. I picked it up at African violet show this past spring, and I'm enjoying the growth pattern on this beauty. This one is Scarlet O'Hare. Actually, maybe not. You know what? This is a watermelon snow. No, Rose Bouquet. Rose Bouquet, so beautiful speckled leaves with nice pink flowers. Back here is the watermelon snow. The variegated variegated African violets are my absolute favorite. This one over here is Scarlet O'Hare. It looks like she's got 2 heads coming out on her, so I'm expecting a nice full plant over winter, and I'm looking forward to that scarlet red blooms. This little guy right here with a purple bloom, and this one it's more of a red flower with ruffles. Over here we've got Episkea Picasso. What a stunning plant. I absolutely love this Episkea. I've got it in the living room where it's getting a lot of sun. I hear this one stretches quite a bit, so I've got it in a location where it gets some morning sun as well as afternoon sun. Just a wonderful combination of leaves. It's so dreamy and pretty. And we've got a Episkea Pink Smoke. Many of you probably remember my 3 orchids in 1 pot. Well, I've recreated the 3 orchids in 1 pot with some phalaenopsis that I picked up at a grocery store for just $1. And I cut back the spent spikes. This one is branching, putting out little buds. I'm surprised that the buds are so close to the cut spike. And down here, looks like this one is spiking or lengthening. It looks like, I'm not sure, it might be even a keiki. We'll see what happens when it grows out a little bit more. And with 3 orchids in 1 pot, I'm expecting some beautiful blooms come this fall. I'm gonna give it cool temperatures, September, October. I'm gonna crack the window a little bit so that it gets cool night temperatures while the daytime temperatures in here will be fairly warm. Definitely will get that 10-degree differentiation from day and night. The Euphorbia trigona candelabra really loves this space. It gets bright afternoon, even some direct sun. That's if I don't pull the shade. When it gets really warm in here or too sunny, then I'll pull the curtains to provide some shade for the plants. Just a wonderful plant and low maintenance. I just need to give it lots of water since it's a fairly good sized plant. My Cactus really likes it bright. The brighter, the better for this Cactus. So I have it in that nice sunny window, morning sun as well as afternoon sun. And you've got to keep the Cactus watered. They don't like to dry out at all. They love to stay moist. Euphorbia amac also lives in this bright window. I used to put it out on the balcony where it would get direct sun, and I find that the direct intense sun causes this one to stop growing. Now that it's inside, it's pushed out some nice growth for me. So this location is still bright. The plant is not stretching at all. It's just enough to keep this plant nice and happy. A good sign that the plant is growing is those little leaves at the top. Nestled with the amac is the Echeveria champagne. This little cutting's been in the pot for a number of years. I've got a few propagation of some Steadily and Horonia. And this little Steadily or Horonia variety as well, just a cute little cutting that I received at the Cactus and Succulent show. I've got one more of those sugar vines. Now you might be wondering, where do you put all the plants when you bring them inside? I've got plants tucked on the windowsill in the living room, and these are some agaves, and yeah, they're all agaves that I've got tucked in this window. We've got a rum runner in here. This guy that I picked up at a Home Depot, it's 3-in-1 pot. This one's so unusual. If I remember the name, I will put it on screen for you. And look at this guy. Lovely variegation, the outer variegation, and a little pup. This pot has been designated for the 3 arrangements that are out on the balcony. They'll sit nicely right here over the winter. And I've got another agave from the Home Depot. Over on this windowsill, I've got some plants. Back here, I've got a spiral cactus. Very easy to grow plant. Euphorbia millii. This variegated Euphorbia millii is so beautiful. It started branching this summer. Does require a lot of sun to keep the flowers. The Madagascar palm. This one will probably drop all the leaves this winter. And in this pot, I've got a combination of plants. A trigona that's mint variegated, and this one over here that's more of a white variegated. I've never seen this one in stores, and I received it as a small little cutting that I need to propagate. It's starting to branch, so it's time I propagate this little beauty to ensure that I have multiple in my collection. And below we've got some temper cactus. The temper cactus, these little balls, they fall off on their own. That's how come I've got so many of them in my collection. The desert rose. This one's a fairly new plant in my collection. I love the codex on this. It hasn't bloomed yet, so I don't know what the flowers look like. I'm hoping it's one of those ruffly flowers, but any flower I get, I'm going to be happy with it. There's also the PP cactus, and this one's branch a lot. I noticed one of the branches has little roots, so I'll be able to propagate this one shortly. Still, I've got the pink Euphorbia Abdel Curry. Another low maintenance plant that I don't have to worry about. I come by and I water it once a month. Let's take a look at the plants behind the television. The Brassavola hybrid, the key lime stars back here, enjoying a lot of sun, recently repotted and throwing off a new flower spike. I also have my Manjula. Manjula is in a fairly sunny spot, and I'm surprised it could handle so much sun. We'll see how it fares in this location. It used to be on the west side of the room, recently moved it over to the south side with rearranging the living room for winter. Oh, look at this beauty. What a wonderful gymnocalycum. This one, I just happened to find it at Home Depot, and it was fairly reasonable. Oh, what a lucky find. Now this Hoya right here is Hoya obscura. Obscura, you might have seen this on other videos. I've never repotted this plant, and it's rewarding me with tons of peduncles. It's bloomed quite a bit over the years. Here's a bloom hiding behind a leaf. And they're fragrant at night. The golden monkey tail fell out of her plastic pot, and I've placed her in this ceramic or terracotta pot for now. Just need to add a little bit more soil. This is where she's gonna live until she flushes out with more vines. And since I'm enjoying those monkey tails, I've gotten the white monkey tail of this, throwing off some new growth. This one likes the full sun. I was surprised that it really enjoys full sun, so moved to the south facing window for winter. My silver squill, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this one. Maybe I'll need to separate it. We'll see. We'll see how she does over the winter. The pseudobulbs are nice and plump. I'm thinking as she matures, she's just losing a lot of her leaves, which does not look that attractive. So I might just have to propagate her and encourage new bulbs to grow out. At the moment, I'm still rearranging for winter, so I've got plants tucked around the TV. Here's a rat-tail cactus, one that I don't see very often when I'm out plant shopping. Such a good find. I found this one at Woodhill Nursery. Now this bulbophyllum, I saw that there was bulbophyllum phalaenopsis in the name, and I thought since it's a hybrid, it would stay fairly compact. Plant friends, as it gets mature, the leaves are lengthening significantly. It's a little bit overwhelming, but I'm enjoying these long pendulous leaves. Check out this dark leaf begonia. The only way I can keep begonias in my collection is to put them in a self-watering setup. One blooms a nice pink flower, beautiful contrast to the dark foliage. The name on this one is Spirit of Zanzibar. This is Episkia Jim's Island. Such a beautiful Episkia with the nice spray of yellow flowers. It trails quite a bit, and it's bloomed for me a number of times. Once it was just covered with yellow flowers. Here's Sansevieria Coppertone, which branches quite a bit. I've separated this once already, and look at that. It's throwing out a new pup. Just interesting growth habit on these Sansevierias. They're very giving. I also have a few Tillandsias. Tillandsias, I soak them for just a couple of minutes. I dunk them in the water and I let them sit on the counter to slowly dry or absorb the water off their leaves. I find that you don't need to soak them for 10 or 20 minutes. Just a dunk in the water where the leaves are so saturated with water, and let them slowly dry on their own. And look at this one. It bloomed and it's branched. And that's one thing about these tillandsias. Whenever they bloom, they will branch for you, so you will get lots of little pops. Similar to this one right here that's throwing off 2 little pops now that it's working on its flower spike. More African violets in the collection. I've got the Sphinx anemone. This one has a little bit of a variegation, which I like. Hasn't bloomed yet, so I'm hoping for blooms. This little guy is trailing. It's fairly dry. I should give this a little bit more water or have it in self-watering setup. It's a fairly tiny pot and I just haven't gotten around to the self-watering setup for this beauty. Here's another little gem. I've got them in this tray which I flood with water every once in a while. This is called Love in Bloom. Nice pink flowers against the variegation. We've got the variegated Orchid Zebrina. These are little cuttings. I'm hoping to get blooms on these. The Orchids are one of my favorite blooms. There's something about these that just really speaks to me. Speaking of blooms, my Edith Collier bloomed. 2 blooms this season. Here are the spent spikes. Are there more spikes? So far, I don't see any additional spikes on this plant. Here's my Orchid Zebrina. This one has no variegation. Lots of new growth, and these tend to bloom on new growth. Here's a little bud that's coming. These are spent buds, but right here we've got a new little bud, so I'm expecting a bloom right here, and this one bloomed earlier in the spring. Plant friends, I'm so proud of myself. I've propagated an African violet leaf. I purchased this one back in the spring at the African Violet Show and Sale, and I'm so proud that the leaf took, and there's a little pop on the way. Can't wait for this one to mature. In the south facing window, I've got the Sansevieria Dragonwing. This was just a little pop when I purchased this plant, and it's flourished. In this corner, we've got the Plumeria as well as some cactus and succulents. The totem pole cactus, one of the joys in my collection. This summer, it was so happy. This is all new growth from this summer. I've had this one for about 5 or 6 years. Just an easy plant, and it does not require a lot of water. Some more Horonia types in this pot with the Euphorbia trigona candelabra. Some sun damage or cold stress for moving it out to the balcony this spring, which this will just cork over and calloused over. Overall, the plant's very happy. You can see those little leaves at the top. They're very tough, so it can handle a little bit of sun and cold. This one is my zigzag cactus, and I see new growth right here, a little branching on this little beauty. I love that. And it looks like it's working on flower buds for the fall season. Oh, wow. More new growth right there. I love that. This is a nice cluster at the top already. It's just beautiful, beautiful growth habit. I find that this one really enjoying being watered quite a bit over the summer. In the back, we've got agave quadricolor. It's gorgeous. These can get quite big. Definitely will not be repotting this. I want to keep it under control and at a fairly manageable size. More agave rum runner. This jelly bean or moonstone was just a little 2.5-inch pot from Valley View, and over the years it's grown into a beautiful plant. Branching, I've even given away cuttings, and the leaves can be easily propagated, but they grow so fast. I'm impressed with this little plant. Now down here we've got a sansevieria. This one was from Valley View, and I've forgotten the name for this beauty, so it will be on the screen. Here's an aloe that I picked up earlier this spring. It's so unusual. I really like the structure of this plant. I don't know the name of this beauty, but I'm loving the shape of the leaves. The crested Euphorbia lactea, which is grafted, growing very nicely. I love the growth habit of this plant. Well, I've had it for a long time, and you can see how it's grown over the years. Plant friends, I've got 2 spiral cactus in my collection. This one is absolutely perfect with the spiral. Just wonderful, a good size as well. They grow pretty quickly. I've had this one for about, I'm thinking it's about a year, a good year. And I find this to be a thirsty plant. I always feel the plant to see if it's floppy or firm. Right now it's nice and firm, so it doesn't need any water. The second one I've got in my collection, it's not so perfect. It's a little bit wonky the way it's growing, so I like having a combination of 2, one that's perfect and one that's not so perfect. Plumeria is doing fantastic. I can see little flower buds emerging, which is really good. So I'm looking forward to some flowers over the fall season. So far, I see 3 flower spikes on this plant. So the 3 branches that are facing the window and the Bellina light have flower spikes. As the plants bloom, I like to pull them out from the shelf and put them on display so I can enjoy them. This one is fragrant at night, sort of a spicy, peppery scent. It's just wonderful. It's been working on these spikes and flowers for a while. These opened up on the weekend. They're just lovely, nice, dark, vibrant color on the flowers, and the older flowers, they're slightly faded now, but still beautiful. Now this one is a zygo cross, Arlene Armor Conscience. Now this palm has been with me since the beginning of the pandemic. It's such a statement piece. Never thought I'd have a palm in my collection. If you've been wondering about the prop box of plants, it's doing well. The syngoniums, they've rooted quite nicely. The Bellitier, looking very good. The domesticum did grow some new leaves. This one's new. This one over here is new as well. And there's a little leaf unfurling, slowly coming in. Just beautiful. All I need to do is put this on a moss pole. The silver heroes have rooted nicely. I should put these in a hanging basket. I'd love to see them trail at the window. The Monstera albo. This is a new leaf. And it's working on one more. So very happy plant. It's happy with its current setup. The roots are looking fantastic. Potted up in a nice chunky media. There's also a Hoya in here, the Hoya Wilburgrave. Right there, just enjoying some of that humidity. Plant friends, if you've made it this far in the video, drop a green heart down below to show your appreciation. The final plant for today is the Alawadia. This plant normally goes dormant in the winter by dropping these tiny little leaves. I almost never water this plant in the winter. If it has no leaves, then I know that it's completely dormant and to hold back completely on watering. Once leaves start emerging around May, that's when I will give it water and move it outside. Thanks for joining me on this houseplant tour. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on Instagram at Life of Bellina.